Thank you, everyone. We will now resume with our agenda. Again, I want to welcome everyone and those who are in attendance online. I would like to welcome again and officially introduce board member Sinar Lomelli. We are so excited to have you join the board of Barbering and Cosmetology, so welcome. It is already 1:37, so we've had a full morning and we have a full agenda, so we're going to try to get through it as much and quickly as possible. With that being said, don't hesitate if you have questions or anything like that. We are mindful of the time, but we're also going to try to make sure that we get through the agenda completely. I wanted to let everyone know that we will have public comment for each item and then public comment for items not on the agenda at the end of the meeting. Please know that comments will be limited to 3 minutes and the board is not able to respond to your comments. That's for the public. Lost my own train of thought there. All right. So first we're going to board member updates. Our next item is board member updates. Do any members have any updates that they would like to provide? No? No? All right. Department of Consumer Affairs update, which may include updates on DCA's administrative services, human resources, enforcement, information technology, communications and outreach, legislative, regulatory, or policy matters. Next, we have the update from the Department of Consumer Affairs, and we have Sherry Jones providing the update for us. Welcome, Ms. Jones.
Thank you. Well, it is afternoon, so I was going to say good morning, but I will not say good morning now. Good afternoon. I am Shelley Jones with the Department of Consumer Affairs, Board and Bureau Relations, and thank you for the opportunity to join you today. Sorry, Cesar. I had just a few items to touch on. I think a couple of them might also be things that Executive Officer was going to mention in her report, so I apologize. First is the Governor's Reorganization Plan. In January, Governor Newsom released his proposed 2025-26 state budget, which included a proposal to split DCA's oversight agency, the Business Consumer Services and Housing Agency, into two agencies. They'd be known as the California Housing and Homelessness Agency and the Business and Consumer Services Agency. After public hearings and review by the Little Hoover Commission and the legislature, I'm pleased to share that the governor's reorganization plan was enacted on July 5th. Again, the new Business and Consumer Services Agency will be responsible for consumer affairs, licensing, and enforcement, and the Department of Consumer Affairs would be among 8 departments in this new agency. The 2 new agencies will officially become operative on July 1st of 2026. DCA is participating in multiple agency work groups on the logistics required to transition to the new agency, and will continue to keep board and bureau leadership apprised throughout the year ahead. Regarding hybrid telework transition, on March 3rd, Governor Newsom had issued an executive order requiring all state agencies and departments to update their hybrid telework policies for employees and increase from 2 to 4 days in office per week beginning July 1st of 2025. At the end of June, agreements with several labor unions representing employees within the Department of Consumer Affairs were released, delaying the 4-day in-office requirement by 1 year for most employees. We appreciate staff's flexibility as the situation evolved. For travel updates, on June 9th, the Department of Finance issued guidance for out-of-state travel in the upcoming fiscal year. Travel outside of California will be limited to essential travel that is required to conduct state business, and this means requests should only be made for mission-critical needs. DCA distributed a memo to all boards and bureaus on June 16th detailing the criteria for mission-critical travel, including but not limited to enforcement actions, revenue collection, statutory requirements, auditing, and litigation. Additionally, all requests must be provided to DCA's budget office 8 weeks in advance to allow for review by DCA, agency, and the governor's office. If there are questions, please contact your assigned budget analyst at DCA. We would also like to remind board members and staff of our collective responsibility to always work to minimize the cost to the state through responsible travel planning and scheduling. To best serve the public, it is incumbent upon all of us to ensure that we are being fiscally prudent in our decisions, especially when traveling for board business. DCA is reminding members and staff to evaluate if a rental car is always necessary versus ride-sharing services. Carpooling is also highly encouraged when renting vehicles. We know that there may be new travel costs board members are experiencing as well, such as baggage charges. So please keep receipts to ensure that you can be reimbursed. If you have any questions, please reach out to member relations so that we may assist you. The DCA annual report. Finally, our annual report is one of DCA's biggest projects. Staff work on this report throughout the year, gathering information and statistical data in order to compile a comprehensive report about the department's actions to submit to the legislature. On behalf of the director, thank you to board staff for your efforts and contributions. Published to the DCA website this summer, the annual report has a wealth of information and memorializes all of the great work done by so many throughout the department. DCA encourages board members to take time to review it and use it as a resource. In closing, I want to give a shout out to Christy Underwood for her continued partnership and dedication. She is always so helpful, and we appreciate all that she does for the board and DCA as a whole. I also want to congratulate Member Lomelli. And also last week, congratulations, you had another new member appointed, Michelle Edgar. So with that, thank you for the opportunity to join you today. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
One quick question.
Sure.
Under the new reorganization. Always forget about that. Under the new reorganization, does DCA still have the same number of boards reporting under its umbrella?
Yes, that does not change. What's changing is that our current agency will be split into two separate ones so that they can focus on some different different approaches. Yeah.
I just want to say that I was in attendance to the meeting for, was it July, I think it was, when they were talking about the suggestions for budgets and travel and making some accommodations. And I actually felt really good because I was ahead of that. For the board members of traveling, like since the meeting started at 10, now I come in the morning of, which saves on hotel and rent a car and all those things. And I just want to urge us all to kind of be mindful of that when we travel. If we can, do our part as board members to help reduce the budget as accommodating as we can be, meaning if we're all coming from the same airport, maybe one car instead of three, or taking Uber or Lyft. I fly in the morning just because I like to sleep in my bed, but I also realize the cost of saving on a hotel and additional costs on the car. So it was very good, informative meeting.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have anything else for us?
That's it.
Any board members, do you guys have any other questions? No? Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ms. Jones, have a great rest of your day. Now we will open up to public comments, if anyone's here in person. No public comments. Okay. I will now, oh, sorry. There's no public comments, right? Okay. Moderator, I will now ask to open up the line for any public comment online.
This is the moderator for members of the public on WebEx. If you would like to make a public comment on this item, please click the raise hand icon. Or if you're an audio only participant, you can raise your hand by pressing *3 on your device. I'll pause a moment to allow the public time to access those features. All right, and it appears there are no requests for public comment at this time.
Thank you. All right, item number 6. Discussion and possible approval of the May 19, 2025 board meeting minutes. The agenda item 6 is the approval of our meeting minutes from May 19th board meeting. And so at this point, do I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes?
Hi, Kelly Funk. I move to approve the minutes of the May 19th, 2025 meeting.
This is Member Pham. I second the motion.
Thank you. Monica, you want to go ahead and take roll, please?
Tanya Fairley.
So I'm sorry, you have to wait. Do we have any public comment on the motion? No public comment?
And if I just need to make a quick edit on my name, where does that fit in? Just tell you?
I can do it for you.
Okay, thanks.
Sorry.
Okay, moderator, can you open up the line for public comment online.
This is the moderator for members of the public on WebEx. If you would like to make a public comment on this item, please click the raise hand icon. Or if you're an audio only participant, you can raise your hand by pressing *3 on your device. All right, and it appears there are no requests for public comment at this time.
Okay, Monica, now you could take roll.
Tanya Fairley,
Yes.
Kelly Funk,
Yes.
Anthony Bertram,
Yes.
Megan Ellis,
Yes.
Dr. Yolanda Jimenez,
Yes.
Colette Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Sonar Lamelli, sorry,
Abstain.
Tamika Miller,
Yes.
Danielle Munoz,
Yes.
Callie Mayfam,
Yes.
Steve Weeks.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. So we're going to skip over to item number 9 at this point. We are going to talk about the apprenticeship program. So we have held 2 task force meetings, and I want to just say from the bottom of my heart, thank you to everyone who has been a part of these task force meetings. They have been very informative. They have been very intense, detailed, but I feel like after every meeting, we get a little bit further. So for that, I want to say thank you. I'm going to have Christy go ahead and provide an overview of what was discussed at the meetings and the most recent report on the apprenticeship program and what to expect in the future.
All right, thank you. So I want to echo our president's comments to thank everybody who was part of the apprentice task force, as well as all the public that attended. Our task force meetings were very well attended by lots of different individuals. So that was super helpful. This is the 3rd time you're seeing this apprentice report. We have highlighted in red the sections that are changed. We would like to get an approval on the report today. However, that does not mean that in November at our next meeting, we won't have a few more changes, but those will be clearly displayed at that time. I wanted to bring your attention first to page number 3. We did insert a section, and this is not red, but it does talk about the apprentice task force and that we had 2 meetings. And I wanted to highlight that the task force included board members, board staff. We had 3 approved program sponsors attending as members of the committee. We had 3 local education agencies, and then we had 1 licensee owner who was a past apprentice and now a successful barber and owner of a barber shop. So I thought it was very well-rounded. And I do want to mention that just in the time aside from our apprenticeship task force, we've been working very close with different agencies. We've been working with the DAS. We've been working, I want to say that Los Angeles, their LEA that they have worked with has been really, really stepped up and been not only great a source of education for us, but is also doing a lot of work on their own to help this process. So is it LAUSD? Okay, I didn't want to get those initials wrong. Thank you. I think you're listening. So I do appreciate the work that they have done with us on that. So moving on, what we've done is added task force discussion to certain areas that were discussed under the same structure of what we have been talking about for the last year on the apprenticeship program. And so we added that in. Again, we would like to attach this to our sunset report that'll be finalized later this year. And I really want you to focus on page 10. And so this is basically our statutory recommendations that are going to be requested in the sunset report. So again, for those of you who are new, our sunset review is we go through sunset review every 4 to 5 years, and it's where we do this very extensive background report, and it allows us to bring up any new issues to the legislature for things that we've seen in the last 4 to 5 years on what needs to be changed. And I think we can all agree what we believed needs to be changed drastically is the apprenticeship program because of the extensive fraud that's happening in the industry. Every day we still continue to find something new. one of the biggest issues we're finding right now is the fact that apprentices are not being employed. They are being booth renters. And so we are working, I know you all know Addison in the back. He's heading up this project of really cracking down on what we can in the enforcement area, but we really need statutory changes to strengthen this program if it's going to be successful for the barbering and cosmetology industry. Yes.
Question for you. Who would be, but this seems so logical to us in the way we're proceeding to push this along. Who would be opposition to this? What opposition would there be to this?
I think that there are, I don't know that anybody disagrees with the concept that with some of these things that we've raised. The issue might be, is it the board's purview? Should we really be checking that an apprentice is employed when we have another department that may be more, it's a labor code. So I think that might be the issue, in that we are recommending statute changes that may overlap into other entities, but I think we have to at least recommend this and determine if we can clean this situation up. So I think that's the big issue. I do believe there are some programs that do not agree with us limiting the training facilities. I personally believe that's one of the biggest problems that has created this huge issue. So we have the LEAs are approved different related training centers, and these extra related training centers are now operating as their own apprenticeship programs. So the apprentice doesn't even know who they're getting into business with. And if that doesn't stop, we have to try to stop it, which is what some of our recommendations are going to be. And I think that's going to make a huge difference in this program. So we are going to be requesting, and again, some of you have already seen some of this, but we want to clearly state that an apprentice is an employee paid via a W-2 who must earn an hourly wage and cannot be a booth renter or compensated only by commission. Now that is the law already, but it is being grossly overlooked. So if we had the authority to do that, then we could hold the apprenticeship program sponsors accountable when their apprentices are not being paid an hourly wage, not being an employee. And then we would be able to build a case or work with the program sponsors more so to say we could come up with a citation, we can take action against it. This is all basically so we can clearly state what our authority is and what we will take action against if you don't follow. Establish a process for review and approval of new program sponsors, including an initial application and renewal fee. Again, we spend a lot of resources handling the issues in the apprenticeship program, and the only charge is a $25 apprenticeship application fee that the apprentice has to pay. So that's not even relevant. That's a processing fee for the apprentice license. Program sponsors do not have to pay a fee for approval. And again, we're not talking about, we have to calculate those fees. We can't just pull a fee out of the air and say it's going to be $10,000. It wouldn't ever be that. It would be the cost to the board. We have to be recouped for the costs that we're spending on enforcement of the apprenticeship program. All of our licensees pay a fee, and those fees cover our enforcement costs when we have consumer harm in certain places. And when we have reinstatement hearings, that cost is all thought of when we set our initial fees. So setting an initial fee for a program sponsor is going to allow us the resources to properly manage the program.
Is it controversial in the sense that this fee may be $5,000, $200? Do you have any rough range of what this could be?
I don't think it would be $5,000. I think it would, I mean, at a guess, we were probably looking at a couple $100s every 2 years. All right, And then we were going to list requirements within the approval of those program sponsors. So we want to state that they can only utilize one LEA. We have multiple, where there's no rules. Somebody else can use more than one LEAs. And there are so many LEAs in the state of California. I don't know if you guys know how many LEAs there are, but like hundreds. So if there's an LEA in Northern California and an LEA in Sacramento, California, they can reimburse a program for the related training hours. So there's 220 hours for Cosmo, and they can get $9 for every hour of attendance that apprentice is in that related training class. So they submit it to their LEA and they get reimbursed that $9 an hour for each apprentice. If they have another LEA and those LEAs don't talk to each other, they're getting that for the same amount. We don't know that that's happening. But we don't know if that's happening. We recently had an LEA who was reimbursing a program sponsor, and we did not know that the LEA existed at all. They happened to somehow, through enforcement, we got connection with them, and now they're having to try to get that money back because we've had LEAs pay out for money for people that didn't exist. So no apprentice license ever issued, and they were claiming LEA funds. Sorry. The next item is to state that all approved programs must be within 60 miles of their LEA. That was talked about at the apprenticeship task force. Not everyone agreed. We have LEAs who have programs all over the state, and it is questionable. This is our education pathway that has the lowest pass rates, and the LEA is responsible for overseeing the education, which is the theory education. And that's what our exam is on. And so they're failing at, we just got the pass rates last week, and current pass rates are at about 33% for cosmetology overall for the entire program. So we, maybe what's happening is not working, and maybe an LEA that's stationed up in Northern California shouldn't have a program that's all the way down at the San Diego border.
Which is, and to Christy's point, we have a situation where we have a program that is in San Diego that has what we are finding, calling these affiliates or satellite in Bakersfield. So you talking about Southern California and Central California, and the Central California locations, these apprentices have taken this class and signed up with this affiliate, and it was via Zoom. So the LEA can't monitor those kind of things. So we're trying to reel it in to where it just has to make sense. And like she said, we know there's going to be some pushback because the people, they're used to doing what they are doing, but we've taken this on to clean it up and make it make sense and be fair to these apprentices and make sure that they're getting the training that they're paying for. And a lot of them are not.
Right. Okay, next is require that the program sponsors are approved to teach in multiple languages. Right now, no one even talks about different languages that are being taught. And in a school that's approved by BPPE, you have to be, if you're going to teach in Spanish, you have to be approved by BPPE to teach in Spanish. We don't do that. But at least we have that aspect where they have an approval, or their accrediting agency has approved them to teach in that other language. Apprentices have nothing. So we have no idea if they're being taught, and the majority of apprentices are Spanish speaking. We have, certainly not all, but it's a high volume. And we have no idea if they're being taught even in their first language. Next is approved programs must hold committee meetings on a quarterly basis and include the board, DAS, and their LEA. So most program sponsors do that. The good ones are having their regular programs, and we are already invited to many, so we do attend them already. We want it to be required. And it is in their program standards for how they were approved by the Division of Apprenticeship Standards, but there's no consequences might be a strong word, but there's nothing that says what happens if they don't. Next, we will have state that the program sponsors must obtain and maintain OJT logs and daily activities and make them available upon request by the board. This is already a requirement. We want to make it just crystal clear that the program sponsors have to have OJT logs. That's on the job training logs. We've run into a very big issue right now with apprentices not having any information. We have one program sponsor that has recently closed, and we can't help these apprentices. There's no help for these apprentices because the sponsors aren't cooperating, they've disappeared, they're not returning phone calls, and the apprentice can't get either their discontinuance form or their OJT logs for us to try to help them to see where they are in their program and where they need to go. All right, an approved program sponsor cannot franchise, sponsor, or in any way share their approval. All enrollments in the apprenticeship program must be between the program sponsor and the apprentice. An apprentice should know who they're enrolling with, period. Establishments employing apprentices must offer all services within the scope of practice, meaning you can't be a barber apprentice and be working only at a nail salon. That hasn't happened that we know of, but it has. We have had a cosmetology apprentice working at just a salon that offered nails. So they're not getting on the job training. Establishments must maintain workers' compensation insurance for the entire time the apprentice is employed and must provide the board proof of insurance upon request. This is a requirement already. They're all supposed to be employees. All establishments are supposed to have workers' compensation insurance. They only have to show proof to the DAS or to their program sponsor at the time that the apprentice starts. So what happens is they get a policy for a short time and then they just cancel it. So we want to make sure that that workers' compensation is covered for the entire time that the apprentice is working, which is 2 years. We want to establish a formal disciplinary process for enforcement of program sponsors, including the option to suspend new enrollments if violations are found. This is something that the DAS has. The DAS can suspend new enrollments. So if there's something egregious enough that they want to stop new apprentices being enrolled and figure out how we can fix the problem, we want to have that ability to do that as well. We also want a formal process. So those of you who have served on the Apprentice Appeal Committee, that's what we haven't set in regulation, but we really think it should go through the formal process like a licensee would. It should go as an accusation through the district attorney's, not the district attorney, the Attorney General's office, have a hearing like we did earlier today, just a more formalized process like what our licensees go through as opposed to the Apprenticeship Appeal Committee. It's just makes sense that it would be the same process as how we discipline licensees, but we would have to establish that in statute. We would want to establish a fee for the maintenance of transactions. Apprentices change hands all the time. They go from salon to salon or from trainer to trainer. The program sponsors usually charge a fee for that, and there's paperwork involved, so that I understand, but there's paperwork involved for us too, a lot. So there needs to be a processing fee. Again, we would have to figure out what that would be, but we do hundreds and hundreds of what we call maintenance to an apprentice license a year, hundreds, and there's no fee to change any of that. We want to establish a process where if the trainer is in violation of the apprenticeship program, for example, not completing OJT logs, leaving the apprentice to work alone, they're no longer able to serve for a trainer for a minimum of 5 years. This is actually something that the program sponsors brought up, that there's no consequences for the owner or the trainer. The next one is the exact same thing for the employer, for the establishment owner. There's no consequences. The law says you can be a trainer as long as you don't owe any fines and have a current license. So these people are continuing to just take advantage of apprentices, and there's nothing we can do about it. So it was the program sponsors who actually were like, there has to be some sort of consequence. Well, they should be not allowed to have an apprentice in their program for at least 5 years. Yes.
Chrissy, I have a question. Why the 5 years and not 2 or 3?
certainly open for discussion. I think the 5 years is because that is what we look at for history of like citations and discipline internally. It's usually like 5 years is what we look at, but
Okay.
you can, this.
I think my hesitation on that is different from an establishment versus a trainer. Because oftentimes what I found is that the trainers become trainers because the owner of the establishment says, oh, I'm going to make this person your trainer. Not so much because that person is saying, let me be your trainer. I think the fine for the establishment owner should be, I feel tougher than, or not tougher, but I don't feel like the trainer should be for 5 years not allowed to have an apprentice without some type of due process. And I feel like 5 years is a lot. I'm thinking of it from both sides of myself as the establishment owner, and then I have two trainers in there. I'm the one who approves them to have trainers. They can't bring a trainer in without me saying, okay. So we'll talk about it. I mean,
Yeah, and we can think about this and come back with a different number for trainers. I totally see your point.
Yeah.
All right, and that is, that's our statutory recommendations that we would like to finalize. We would like to finalize this report as is today, maybe with that change of from 5 to 2 years, which is a cycle.
then yeah, I think we should, if we want to get this and review this and put this in for the sunset, then that is one thing that I would like to have the board to discuss. Anybody have any opinion on that? I just feel like if we're talking about the establishment overall, we're talking about the program sponsor and how the trainer plays a part into that being penalized, because that trainer can go to a different salon, a different location, and then they don't have the ability to get another apprentice. So I'm open for any suggestions, any input. If you don't have any, then I'm gonna say 2 years. The owner's saying 5 years? Anybody? No?
And I do want to preface that this will come back to you one more time.
Okay. Well, I would say, I think because there's no guideline for disciplinary action for first offense, second offense, right? I think first offense warning, I think there should be something. I think there should be yes, we all sign it. It's like when they go in for a violation, when the inspectors go in, they get a warning. Some things are citable, some things are finable. They don't just get, so I think that there should be there should be some type of scale. There should be you're going to get a warning, that as a trainer, you should have these A, B, and C. If we come back again and you don't have it, then this is what you won't be able to have an apprentice for 2 years.
Then I would recommend that you allow staff to bring back that exact process. Where we're saying here, establish a process, let's show you what that process would look like.
Okay, I'm good with that.
Can I also add something or just comment? Okay. Well, also very nice. Thank you so much for meeting. It sounds like it was fruitful. I brought this up last time. Would it make sense to also include like a formal process for the apprentice to file a complaint? Like I want to have a clear path for them, and also like something similar to a bill of rights, but like this is what an apprentice program is and isn't, so that they can also self-identify and self-advocate and then kind of raise a flag.
We've actually done that. It's just not 100% ready.
Great.
But we will have something to show you, and we're doing that regardless of what's being said in our sunset report. We've actually developed a flyer that's going to start going out with, first of all, we're going to mail it to all current apprentices. And it says, you have to be an employee, not a booth renter. You have to, X, Y, and Z. So we're mailing it to all the all the apprentices. But we are also have developed we internally, we call it a victims flyer, and that's probably a strong word. But it's that exactly. It's what do you do as an apprentice if X, Y, and Z has happened to you? We've actually shared that flyer with the Division of Apprenticeship Standards. They've given us some feedback. So we will have that finalized by our next board meeting for you to see.
Oh, thank you. Great.
I thought it was my idea. That makes more sense.
Of course.
That's right. So that is the apprenticeship report as it stands today. And again, I do think it'll change a little bit more. It's every day we have something come up that's new in the apprenticeship world. So luckily it's getting a little bit less and less with all that we've done. But obviously it has to be final at the next board meeting, but it's going to be this and then any little tweaks that we may have. And we'll have what we talked about, a process for those 2 items.
Okay. And I want to say too, like, just so you guys know, like these meetings are very intense and we have some very passionate people that are on the task force that really provoke questions. And it's not just about the programs, it's really about the apprentice. So everything that we're doing, and I told you guys before I leave this board, like it is my mission to make sure that I believe in the program. And those of you who are not in the industry, by the time I leave, you're going to believe in the program too, just in case you're not. But I want to tell Christy, thank you so much, because as you guys know, we've talked about this beginning. Christy was ready to just like X-nay and all that. And so to see the work and the fight that's going on with, and when I say fight, meaning to make sure that the program is doing well with Christy and Addison and everyone, I appreciate it. I appreciate the effort, because I'm walking down the street and I'm known as the apprentice guru, which I haven't figured out where I got that from, but it's the passion, right? So everybody believes in something. And so you guys have, I'm going to ask you for the next board meeting, take a moment, read all of this and come back with something like, if you were entering into an apprenticeship program, what would you like to see? So are we
Done.
okay? All right. So, a motion?
Motion?
Yes. Okay, so we do need a motion to approve the apprenticeship report to be included as part of the sunset report, knowing that it is going to come back to us one additional time for finalization.
And what I will say is that when the work that staff does between today and the next time you see it, they may just bring back the changes. You know, so it's a more focused discussion. If whatever you approve today will be approved, and then the next time you see it, you'll see the changes. So it's a little bit more focused. They'll just highlight the changes or any additions. So you won't have to go through it all. And again, it's not the last time you'll see it either.
Do we have a motion to approve the apprenticeship report to be included as part of the sunset report?
I motion to approve.
I second.
Okay, thank you. So now that we have a motion, we're going to open up to public comment. Remember, you have 3 minutes. Welcome.
Can't even introduce myself in 3 minutes, Tanya. Fred Jones, Professional Beauty Federation. To answer Mr. Weeks' question, who could oppose these reasonable efforts? The legislature, who has to pass these. And having conversations with the gatekeepers in that branch of government, I can assure you they're looking at what is the mission of the State Board of Barbering and Cosmetology. The mission is to protect the consumers of services of barbering and cosmetology, period. So W-2s, labor, program sponsors, all these things are going to be looked at askance by the gatekeepers in the legislature. And they're going to say, well, wait a minute, isn't that a Department of Apprenticeship Standards or the Labor Commissioner or the fill in the blank, all these other government agencies that aren't doing their job? In the case of DAS, they don't understand our industry. They deal with construction labor unions that maintain the standards, right? They're rubber stamps. We're not unionized. We don't have those type of standards. So we're not a fit. So I applaud your executive officer's effort and your president's in trying to fill the gaps. But I'm just warning you, keep your expectations in check, because when it gets to the legislature, they're going to ask, what is the mission? And is there consumer harm implications? And if you can't answer affirmatively either of the or both of those questions, the non-starter. So anyway, I just wanted to give you that jaded perspective.
Do we have? Or Caesar looks at me. Do we have any other public comments on this agenda item? Nope. Oh, yes.
Good afternoon. My name's Gary Federico. Even with Mr. Jones had to say and so forth, if it does move forward in, let's say, Ms. Underwood's direction and so forth, the only thing that I could add to it, and the students, the apprentices students, I guess, they are consumers to me in every way, shape, or form. And what I would suggest, it would be some type of fact sheet, something like that, that they should receive. No, you shouldn't be paying money for the apprenticeship program. No, you should be paid whatever per hour, and all the things there. So they have it. I guess they could probably sign it and send it, but they could forge that. But I'm just saying, just more of an awareness fact sheet that that individual should have. As a previous school owner, with our students, obviously they sign shitloads of documents, excuse my language, but I know they, so much under federal funding and so forth, so much paperwork going on. I'm sure they don't understand half the stuff, but it's still presented in front of them. If somebody comes in, I haven't seen the BPE in a long time, but it's there. It's verified and so forth. That's all I had to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else for public comments?
We may online.
Moderator, we're going to ask that you open up the line for any comments that may be there.
This is the moderator for members of the public on WebEx. If you would like to make a public comment on this item, please click the raise hand icon, or if you're an audio only participant, you can raise your hand by pressing *3 on your device. All right, and it appears there are no requests for public comment at this time.
Thank you. At this time, I ask Monica to call the roll.
Tanya Fairley,
Yes.
Kelly Funk,
Yes.
Anthony Bertram,
Yes.
Megan Ellis,
Yes.
Dr. Yolanda Jimenez,
Yes.
Paulette Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Sonar Lemeli, Tamika Miller,
Yes.
Danielle Munoz,
Yes.
Callie Mayfan,
Yes.
Steve Weeks.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Our next item to review is the approval of a portion of the board's sunset review report. I will ask Christy to provide that review.
All right, we're going a little out of order just to take the meat of our agenda a little early. So as I've been saying, our sunset review report is currently being prepared. And for those of you who haven't been on the board before, the sunset review final report's going to be about this thick. All right, it's going to be two volumes likely, because there's a lot of data that we provide and a lot of explaining of what that data is. We are not done with that yet, so that is still in process. We really had the goal to get the whole thing to you at this meeting, but what we really wanted to get to you at this meeting is kind of, for lack of a better word, the most important items in Sunset Report. And that is starting with our Sunset Report on new issues. So in your packet, under item number 10, you will see starting on page 1 of 8. So these are the new issues that we have talked about in our last meeting and maybe the meeting before. And this is the opportunity for the board to bring to the legislature any new issues, perhaps any issues that haven't been identified since the last Sunset Report. But really what we want to see changed. This is our opportunity to present it to the legislature. So our first item is the oversight of schools, which we have briefly discussed in the past. And this recommendation currently has, most importantly, that we have a fee, to establish a fee. Let me just see where I'm at here. So we are looking to, on page 2 of 8, we have a legislative request, and we have exactly what staff is recommending be amended. Obviously, that all, by this chapter and any regulations pertaining to the operation of schools. Right now, our board inspectors are limited to inspecting health and safety. We cannot go and determine if a school is selling hours because we do not look at school contracts, we don't look at attendance records, anything like that. But we're often asked about what we're doing to enforce the selling of hours. So we have to have more authority to look when we're doing inspections at schools. The next item is talking about the application process. Again, it's like the apprenticeship programs. They submit an initial application to the board. It is free. We have, it's an extensive review. We review the curriculum, we review their space. We have to do an inspection before they are approved, and that entire application process has no fee. They also do not renew. So we think that they should have to renew like the rest of our licenses. And so we are also recommending section 7425.1 for a fee to be established. We are also recommending here, right above number 2, to amend that requires the BPPE to provide the board with citations and formal discipline. Right now, we have to look for it ourselves on their database or on their website. We are required to send inspection reports to the Bureau of Private Post-Secondary, but they are not required to send it to us. We do get some, but we do not get all. And we think that we should receive that information from the Bureau because they may issue a citation for an unlicensed school. In fact, they do issue citations for unlicensed schools, and likely those schools are getting services from consumers. So it's just a facility out there operating. And if we could get that information without having, right now we have staff that have to go through the website every day and look to see if, well, they do it, I think, once a month. So once a month, we have to go through and look at all school discipline to find what might be barbering and cosmetology. Next is license by endorsement. This is something that we've talked about. We've found some significant fraud in the endorsement world, licenses coming from state to state. We think that for somebody to come into California, they should have had to test. And that most states require that, but most states don't tell you that. So we want to make it required that if a person is coming from Arizona, you have to tell us if you took your exam in Arizona. If you went from New York to Alabama to Arizona to California, then you need to tell us where you took your exam. The bottom line is our licensees are required to examine, and there's a loophole where people are going to different states to try to get a license without taking that examination. And if they send us a certification letter and it doesn't show that on there, we could potentially be putting people out in the workforce that have never tested for minimal competency. Next is establishing combined license types. So this is something new that's to this board and certainly open for discussion, but this is a growing trend of individuals who want to be both a barber and a cosmo, or want to be both a manicuring and an esthetician. It's actually not that new. It's been we have a lot of people that hold dual licenses. But the school, they can't go to school for one course. So this would allow someone to actually enroll in a barbering and cosmetology course. This already exists. Lots of schools already do this. What happens though is they still have to get 2 licenses. So if a student is already going to a school for a barber cosmo course, now we're going to make them pay $125 twice. We're going to make them have to have 2 different licenses, make them renew 2 different times. Whereas we could, and other states do have a combined Barber Cosmo license or a combined manicuring and aesthetics license.
What implication does it have on the hours, school hours?
It would be an increase in hours. So the way we calculated it, and we have it spelled out, but it's in a lot of detail in this packet. But the way the law says that any hours that are like for like can be transferred. So if you're in a barber course and you're in a Cosmo course, or you did a barber and now you want to do a Cosmo, there's 100 hours of health and safety. Well, those 100 hours by statute are exactly the same. So it wouldn't be 2,000 hours, right? Because the hours are the same. So when you're a barber or a cosmetologist, health and safety is the same. There's by all means, there's different, nuances in each of those. But for the most part, disinfectant and sanitation is the same. And so it would be, what we are recommending is 1,400 hours for Barber Cosmo. And 800 hours for esthetician manicuring. And the way we figured those hours out was we laid it all out, the like hours that are required by law to be the same, and then the differences.
Because if I'm clear, what happens with Barber Cosmo is you can go to school for Cosmo, but the difference in the barber is the shaving.
Yes.
So you're saying that it's like for like, the additional that's required in training for barber is the shaving. So whatever those hours are is what's additional?
It's not that clean,
Well, I mean, come on.
right? Because if that were the case, it would be, if you were a Cosmo and wanted to become a barber, you would just go take 200 hours, but that's actually not the case because each course is like for like, and they don't both end at 1,000. The Cosmo ends at 900 and the barber ends at 800. So those additional hours are what we call in the office is unspecified hours. So they could be, maybe the student needs more time in color, or maybe they have a business class that they're having the students complete. So there's the 1,000 hours for a barber and the 1,000 hours for Cosmo there's I believe it's 600 hours that are exactly identical. But then you got to look at Cosmo is 150 hours for
Coloring or something.
well, for aesthetics.
Oh, yes.
And 50 hours in hair removal and 50 hours in nail care. And then barbers have 200 hours in shaving and then 100 hours that are what we call unspecified. So it's just not, you can't just put it on a chart and it ends up perfectly. So we did put it on a chart and we came up with 1,400 hours. There are schools operating today that have more than that for their combined courses because NACIS, which is the main accrediting organization, has approved combined courses already. We don't, and we don't have the authority to do that. But they're already being approved. I know of a school I believe they're offering an 1,800 hour Barber Cosmo. But if you look at our statute that was just done at our last sunset review, we can only come up with the 1,400. And if you aren't sold on that, we can bring you back specifics at the next meeting. Because again, this will have to be approved at the next board meeting if we want to move forward with this. But it doesn't, but we can bring that back and show you how we came up with those hours.
No, I think I'm all for the combo. I think I'm just trying to understand where this lies in and I guess the fairness of how it's being, because right now Cosmo's at 1,000 hours.
They're both at 1,000.
They're both at 1,000 now. So we're adding 400 and they get one license and they can do either service.
Yes.
So it would be, okay.
And then same for manicuring and aesthetics. It would be 800. So aesthetics is 600 right now. Right. Now I'm questioning myself. Is that what I have, Carrie? Oh, right. Because you have 600 and 400, but the bulk of them are the same. So when we put it on a chart and add it up, it comes to 800.
Is there a market for this license?
Yes.
And is there any way it can be abused by the schools in hours?
I think,
Is there any way that, I just asked, is there any way this could be abused by the school and what they charge for hours? Because we did such wrangling to get it down to 1,000 before. We're breaking the 1,000 and,
I think it prevents the abuse.
Yes.
yeah.
I think that, I think it will prevent the abuse because it's putting in writing what they would actually have to take for the student. And I think right now a school might say, oh, if you want a manicurist and an esthetician, you have to go to both the courses. And so the other thing that I think is great for the student, and I think it's, the legislature wants to reduce barriers. Well, we all want to reduce barriers. It gives them that one license with the ability to do more, especially manicuring and aesthetics, because manicurists want to wax and they want to do facials. And so train them and test them. And we've talked to our testing company and they have said, not a problem to create a combined test. Again, we don't know what that exactly looks like, but they would take one test and would get a license that says Barbering and Cosmetology. All right, next we will move to number 5, which is limited liability companies. This is something we've been talking about for a few years. We have been seeking legislation to clarify that our establishments can be limited liability companies. They already are. We just need to get it cleaned up in legislation. And so hopefully this will happen in our sunset. And then lastly is remedial education. So in January 2024, we had a bill that was enacted, SB 384, that allowed us to establish remedial education in lieu of a first offense of a health and safety violation, which we supported and think is a great idea. The way the language is written is that the board had to offer it. And we want it to say the board, that it's just board approved as opposed to board offered. And that way we can contract it out for the development. Our staff's pretty amazing, but we're not computer programmers to develop online systems or even content. So actually we do. Allison back there does a great job on content. But this will allow us, we thought we could make this happen in regulation, that we would be able to contract this process out with an expert and obviously cost less money. But we need to get the legislation cleaned up. So this is just a minor cleanup that we're requesting as opposed to board offered so that we don't have to build it ourselves, to board approved so that we can contract out. And those are our current new issues for Sunset.
Christy, just one edit that I noticed for the report. On the bottom of page 3 of 8, under licensure by endorsement, the recommended amended language for 7331B, proof of current license issued by another state to practice that meets, it says both right now, but since we're adding a third requirement, it should probably be
thank you.
all. Yeah. Otherwise, we're going to read the first 2 and stop right there.
Yes. Great catch. Okay.
Okay, all right. Also on this partnership, limited liability company, corporate profit-making corporation, can we have in there somewhere that they can't have as an employee? They could own an establishment, but they could not have an employee of their company who is formally disciplined from us run that establishment. I mean, wouldn't that be a way for someone that we've disciplined to come back in as an employee of a corporation and it would be invisible to this board? Yeah, putting him in as a manager, yeah.
Right. We can look into that.
Yeah.
It would be as a manager member. Some LLCs are.
Restricted, When they've been through discipline on our side,
Mhm.
they're ineligible to manage it.
Don't forget your microphone. Right, so we can look into that, and I think there's going to be some precedent for professional corporations, potentially from other boards also. So,
Great.
Well, the staff hasn't been on vacation.
No.
A lot of work being done.
did I miss it? No,
I thought we would have a motion on this first before, and take comments before we move to our next sunset item.
Okay, so are there any comments or questions from the board members regarding this?
I think it's pretty cool about the combination license because I'm a dual license
Mhm.
person. I have aesthetics and electrology, which I don't know if those two can be combined because I do mostly electrology, but I think that's such a great option for folks. So I commend that.
Yeah, I'm excited about it too. I had to get the process down because when you go from 1,000 to 1,400, I need explanation on why. But yeah, I think it'll be good for the industry and for the schools too. So any other comments from the board members? Nope. We will open it up.
We need a motion first.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, we need a motion first, but you can have a seat, Fred. Mhm. All right. So this is just the first part for the sunset review. So we do need a motion on being able to include this into the sunset review.
I motion to approve to include this in the sunset review.
My second.
I'd like to add to that motion items 1 through 5 on agenda item 10A.
I move to a motion item agenda 1 through 5.
Yes,
And to the
10A 1
sunset.
through 5 to be added to the sunset review report.
Yes.
And I second. Now, we are open for public comments. Remember, you have 3 minutes and the board will not respond as you give your comment.
Thank you, Fred Jones, Professional Beauty Federation. A lot of great ideas. Harkening back to my comment earlier about various government agencies having various roles and lanes. I was trying to come up with an analogy. I'll try it out. So in the school setting, the structural issues of schools, the facilities, the equipment, the curriculum, that's set by you. You have responsibility over those issues. But the rules of the road to protect students, contracts, et cetera, that's BPPE's role, right? So I kind of see it as BPPE's like the CHP. When you're driving, you break the laws, CHP pulls you over. You're the structural one that built the freeways. You're Caltrans. My concern is on page 2 of 8, when you're amending section 7313 part B and opening up your board oversight over basically all the functions of a school, it's akin to asking Caltrans to pull people over if they're violating speed laws. Okay, weak comparison, I admit. Right now, you're limited to protecting the public. And the public come in and on clinic floor, receive services. Your job is to make sure that those services are done safely. And you can fine a school if you're seeing gross violations. This is going to open up all sorts of other functions of the school, including their entire location, to your board inspectors. And so our position, and it's been the position of your board for 20 years, has been, let's just have one sheriff in town. Within the Department of Consumer Affairs, let's have one agency that's in charge of our beauty schools. We think it should be you. But until that happens, we don't think an appropriate solution is to just double up on inspections, on red tape, because that's not going to accrue to the advantage of schools, but more importantly to those students. Those costs will be passed along in tuition. So with all due respect, all the other proposals right now in this section we're talking about are great.
30
This
seconds.
one section in particular, I think, until the legislature makes a decision to give you sole oversight, I just think it's overstepping. And I don't know what the unintended consequences may be for that. So, thank you.
Do we have any other public comments? No. I'm also aware. Oh, yeah, well, here he comes. Yeah.
Gary Federico. Bottom line is, I do agree with Mr. Jones, again, as a previous school owner. And I do agree with Ms. Underwood as well. There needs to be something like this, but having two governmental agencies over us, it's more than necessary. If one agency, the BPE, was established back in 1989 under another name, and we've been carried through all these years, and all they do is collect our funds and so forth. They really don't do anything good in any way, shape, or form. And that's why I understand Ms. Underwood would love to have this. I would love to have it, but how many masters do I need to be under in every way, shape, or form? If we have sole oversight by your agency, totally for it in every way, shape, or form. But having the BPE over us as well, we don't need it. I'm sorry. That's what I have to say on that. And the other one that I would have to say is at the 1,000-hour program, our students suffer because they get a lot of theoretical, they get a lot of hands-on in class, but they don't have enough hands-on on the paying public or the public in itself. So when I see our students walk out, 'cause I do the maintenance at the school, they don't have the confidence that they used to have because it's the shortened hours, but that's just another thing. So I do appreciate the 1,400 hours, which will help them that much more too. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Moderator, we can open up for public comment online.
This is the moderator for members of the public on WebEx. If you would like to make a comment on this item, please click the raise hand icon, or if you're an audio only participant, you can raise your hand by pressing *3 on your device. All right, and I do have a request from Gracie Young. Gracie, you'll be given 3 minutes to speak and a 30-second warning. Please click the unmute me button when the prompt appears on your device.
Oh, hi, good afternoon. Hi, Christy. I'm a little confused in terms of the school hours. They were changed to 1,000. So are you saying that the schools are going back to the 1,400 hours? Is that what you're saying? Hello? Can you hear me?
I will clarify for Christy. We're talking about a combined license that would then change the hours to, change the hours to 1,400, just for that combined license.
Okay, all right. Okay, thank you. And the issues before this, I can't comment on them now, but I didn't hit the right raise hand button.
You can go, Gracie, I'm sorry, this is Tanya Fairley. I was notified that you had a question regarding the previous issue. Go ahead and ask your question.
My question is, in terms of the minimum wage for the apprentices, I know that the apprenticeship is a pay, earn while you learn employee type job training. My question is, how will the barber shops and beauty salons survive in terms of training the apprentices, especially the mom and pop shops that can't afford the minimum wage? And you said no commission, is no commission, right? So I'm just wondering, how will the apprenticeship program survive if the employers pull out of just decide they don't want to do it?
So just keep in mind, and yes, I am commenting because I see all the eyes look at me right now. The apprenticeship program is voluntary, so it's not a mandatory program. is definitely voluntary. And as stated in the proposed legislation, they are a paid employee. So I'm just going to clarify that if the school or a trainer wants to take on an apprentice, these are the guidelines that are set forth.
Thank you.
Okay. There's no one else online?
This is the moderator. Appears there are no further requests for public comment at this time.
Thank you. Okay, board, now we need a vote on the motion to add this to the sunset review. Somebody?
Would we just say so moved or move to
I think we
move to
We
add?
have a
items?
motion.
already have
Need
a
a call
second.
roll.
We just need to vote.
Oh, okay.
Tanya Fairley,
Yes.
Kelly Funk,
Yes.
Anthony Bertram,
Yes.
Megan Ellis,
Yes.
Dr. Yolanda Jimenez,
Yes.
Colette Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Sonar Lomale,
Yes.
Tamika Miller,
Yes.
Danielle Munoz,
Yes.
Hallie Mayfam,
Yes.
Steve Weeks.
Yes.
Motion passes.
So now I think we're going to go back to 7, right?
Oh, nope, we're still on this item.
Oh,
We're now
big
on 10B. And that is our board action and responses to the prior sunset issues. So this is the section that's required in our sunset report where we have to look at what happened last time. And I know member Pham, you brought this up last time, was like, what were the issues at our last sunset report? Well, this basically covers it. And so that's why we wanted to bring this to you now. This shows it's all the issues that the legislature brought to us at the last sunset review that we had to provide a response to, and now we have to give an update to. So, and this is on page 1 of 11. So the first issue was the board composition, and does the BBC composition need to be updated? So what the way the structure goes of this section of sunset is it says the issue, what the committee staff recommended at the last sunset report, and what our update is today. So the board composition, that is what allowed all of you to be here. We got the legislature to state that there should be one member of each of our licensing categories on the board. We're a majority public board, so that moved us from a 9-member board to a 13-member board. We have, with our most recent appointment that we just had on Friday, we will only have 1 vacancy left. Pretty soon I'll be in the audience. That is the establishment owner position. And so that is the last position that will be vacant. One more industry person on our board is needed. And so that is, we just gave a brief update on where we are with that. The next item is the regulations. There was a big change in DCA prior to our last sunset. So the legislature asked, how's it going, basically, after the process of establishing the reg unit within our legal office. So we have Sabina, who's with us at all our board meetings, and then many of you have met Christy Shields, who's our reg counsel, and she helps us with regulations. And so what we're required to do is we've provided a chart of all the regulations that took place since our last sunset, and the status and the start time and the status of each of those. Personnel flexibility was number 3. This change allowed us to be a little more flexible with some of our positions, especially within our enforcement unit, and it has allowed us to establish special investigator positions, which we have done, and it's been, our special investigators handle all of our consumer harm cases where there's been actual harm done to consumers, and of course the apprenticeship program. They spend a lot of time on the apprenticeship program, but they do a little bit more than just, whereas inspectors are going to salons and inspecting on a daily basis and doing their reports, the special investigators handle the report from the beginning, and they do all their backgrounds. They do interviews with complainants. They do interviews with licensees. So a lot more information going into an enforcement report that might go straight to the Attorney General's office. So that was good. Number 4 was medical practice. This was when we changed section 7320, which said you cannot perform any services that are considered medical. This changed it to you can't perform or offer any services that are medical. And so most of you that have been on DRC have seen lots of that. Number 5 was school oversight. School oversight has been in every sunset review since I've been here for 20 years. And so this update is, one of the things they asked us was our relationship with the BPPE. The committee staff asked about providing us additional resources. We had talked about fees in the last sunset report. We had requested fees in the last sunset report, but it just didn't happen. So that's why we're again saying we should, it's a process we have to do. There should be a fee. Right now, we have to redirect staff to handle this workload on both apprentices and schools. So it's less people that we have working in our enforcement cases. Number 6 is AB5. What are the remaining implications for BBC licenses? For those of you that don't know, AB5 was a bill that exempted our licensees from certain labor issues just to determine if you're an independent contractor or an employee. Our board is exempt other than manicurists, but we'll talk about that in the legislative proposals in a minute. However, we did provide some background on this. It's not our law, we don't enforce it, but this board did take a position a few meetings ago that we would like all of our licensees to be treated the same. So we've provided a response that states that. 7 was scope of practice. Last year they did do not last year, sorry, last sunset, we did get some updates to scope of practice, specifically to aesthetics. So there was some talk about breaking up licenses. Our update basically says that we do not agree with breaking up the existing scope of practice, as in blow drying doesn't need to be licensed or shampooing doesn't need to be licensed, which has kind of been a common goal, but it's part of our scope of practice and we should keep it all together. So this update is stating that. And it also, we go into some details because a lot of people in the legislature don't understand the risks in this industry. Those of us on the board do. You see cases and you see our disciplinary review committee. And I've done a lot of research lately, and hair services from when the board was created, or even in the 1960s, and facials are drastically different than what they are today. And it was interesting that back in 1962, the most reason why women would go to a salon was to just cover gray. And now people want pink or blue, or, so what the need for consumers is totally different and totally more threatening. I mean, people aren't just getting manicures, they're getting acrylic nails. We just had a meeting a couple of weeks ago about a new product. Tamika, you might know about the new magic nail remover that bubbles off your acrylic nails. It just looks like nail polish. You put it on your nails and it bubbles and you just can peel it right off. Well, it's paint thinner. And I met with some scientists from the industry, and the FDA actually came out and banned it. So we're going to be doing some social media on it, because there's no way the manicurists in the industry even know about this. There's no label on it. There's lots of different brands, and it looks just like nail polish, and it says magic remover. I mean, I'll be honest, I saw it on TikTok and I was ready to go. But it's literally paint thinner that's in it, that is used in like actual paint. So there's so much that people are misunderstood about the industry and how much harm could actually take place. So we added some of that there. You're going to see a lot more of that in our full sunset report as well, about really trying to explain to the legislature the risks that are involved in services. 8 is our hours. Again, we went to 1,000 hours after our last sunset. And it asked us about checking for demographics. We don't check demographics and we don't track enrollments in schools. And so there has been an increase in licensure. The legislature felt reducing those hours would reduce barriers to entry. Whether you agree with that or not, we have had more licenses come through, and it's also been a shift. We went through our last sunset during and right after the pandemic. So a lot happened in the pandemic and with this industry. So I think we're still rebounding. But we are seeing more and more licenses be issued to with the shorter hours. And our pass rates, other than the apprenticeship program, are back at a steady pace. Our next is exams. At our last sunset review, they removed the practical exam. This goes in line to one of our past public commenters. What we hear a lot of is that the students are coming out of school ready with their theory, and they're passing the exam with their theory, but they're not ready to work. And we've heard from when we're at trade shows, we hear a lot from different organizations and when different owners that when they bring a brand new person out of school, they might be clean, but they're not ready to be employed. And so that has been one thing, and it's because they're focusing so much on the theory to pass that theory exam that they might be missing that aspect of in the school, the clinic floors, the actual hands-on. I've added in here for the board to consider that there should be a mandated practical exam by the schools. This is what's done in Minnesota right now, and other states are looking at it as well. That's up for discussion, and I don't know what that exam would look like, but unfortunately, some schools are great. Many schools are great, and they do come out and they're very well, but there's no required testing that those students meet that standard at the end of their school. So that's something that the board can discuss if they would want to consider that, recommend that. I don't know that would be, that would happen, but there should, the practical's gone. I don't think it's coming back. It wasn't gone just for us. It was gone for other organizations as well. But this is a hands-on industry, and maybe there should be something in the school that holds them up to some type of practical standard. And before I'll just finish and then we can open it up for discussion and comments. Number 10 was our endorsement. That was what we've talked about earlier in our legislative recommendations, where we think we need proof that they have passed that exam. We've added some numbers here so you can see that how much we have increased in the licenses that have been issued based on holding a license in another state. So 2025, we had over 4,000, and you can see we've never had that many. Is it reducing barriers to entry or increasing risk to consumers is the question. And so we just need to, California holds the golden standard, and we want to make sure that we're handing a license to somebody that truly meets the minimal competency. And I can tell you we have several cases that we are looking into right now for fraudulent licenses being issued, and we do have known consumer harm that came from those cases. So, and then of course, 11 is apprenticeships and externs. We did make some changes to externs. This cleared up that barbers can be extern, but we all know what we're doing with apprentices, so that'll just be inserted here. 12 is our personal service permit. At that time of our last sunset, we had not implemented it yet. This is fully implemented now. On the update, you can see that I made a mistake and listed that since then we have XXX permits. I was supposed to go back in and put 265 there. So we have 265 permits that have been issued. And just so you know, like everybody has reviewed this 5 million times and we still missed those X's. 13 was mobile units. We changed significantly the rules to mobile units. They were very old and outdated, and we made them more current. We've issued 41 new mobile units since January 1 of 2022, which is great. And then citations. This is, the committee had made a recommendation that basically our citations that we issue should be relevant to consumer safety, right? So really looking at what we're doing, what we're citing, and where's the consumer harm in that. And if you have served on the Health and Safety Committee, you've talked about this. And if you've served on the Enforcement Committee, you've talked about this. We're looking at our administrative fine, but we've also done internal changes as well. So if an inspector is in a salon and they see that the only violation is their cupboard of clean towels is opened, which is normally a violation, well, we can educate them and we can have them close it and not have to issue a citation. Or the inspector may find multiple citations, but then our staff in the office, they review everything and they review their history and they determine what really needs a fine and what needs an education. So they're still getting a citation, but as you know, in DRC, we have several that are no fine assessed. So if it's something that we know is a violation and we want to tell you how to fix it, but we're not going to assess the fine to it. Next time you get told again, you're going to get a fine with it, right? So we do that internally as well. And then in our November meeting, you will be looking at a new administrative fine schedule. Licensee in charge, we had asked just for this was just clarifying language, and we had asked this at our last sunset. It did not happen. This is the exact language that we asked for at the last sunset, that basically clarifies that the establishment owner can also be a licensee in charge as well. That's how we operate. We just want to make it clear in the statute. Matt, yes.
So my question to that is, a lot of establishment owners aren't licensees.
Right.
So we're saying that even though they're not licensed, if they're there, they're the licensee in charge?
Yes. Mandatory inspection following licensure. We were required to do initial inspections of establishments within 90 days of issuing that license. Most establishments that have been open for only 90 days are pretty clean. So we were able to get that removed during the last sunset report. So our inspectors don't have to, I mean, it really was a waste of time. It's not needed. We get them on a regular basis. And so that was done, which has been great. 17 was what are the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic? You can tell that's where we were in the last sunset. And then 18, there's always technical changes that are added in sunset report. And I think we did have some minor, we weren't paying our health and safety advisory committee members, so we were able to get that cleaned up and allow them to get a per diem. And then lastly, the last item for any sunset report is, should the board continue to be regulated? And we still agree that the board should be regulated. So that is the section 9 responses to prior sunset. Any questions?
Just one edit, page 7, that chart that you showed us, I think it says 2025 twice.
2025 on there twice.
So I think that should be 2024.
In my world, there were two 2025.
I love having Savina next to me. Okay, now we have a motion to include this in, wait, this is the update. Okay, so now we have bringing forth a motion to include this in our sunset review.
I have a comment or question. Chrissy said after she spoke. Just in terms of the practical, I know you said it's been other boards that is discontinued, but I strongly believe it should be brought back to the board in terms of examination. My thought.
I'd like to second that. I agree. Just because as I get a lot of calls from new electrologists who need assistance, and a lot of them don't really feel comfortable even do certain basic things. And I feel that a practical, I know with schools, they might want more hours because that's another component. But the other issue with having the schools do the practical, which I get it's something, is having a testing environment that is like a third party, just so that way, because the school could do it, but it's not going to be as unbiased. But that's just my opinion on it.
It's almost like to me equivalent to saying you don't need to only take the written part of like a driving exam and you can just take the practical part at the school. My thoughts.
Oh, is this where we can discuss that?
You can.
Or-
This is definitely your opportunity to put in sunset whatever the board decides, and I will do it.
Oh, good, because I agree fully that it should be brought back. And I also think that would help with the Spanish pass rates and like language barrier issues. So we can add that? How do we add that?
Well, the legislatures who removed it. So
Right.
now we'd be going back.
And tell, yeah, that we, yeah.
But this document right now that we're potentially having a motion on isn't new issues, right?
It would have been the last
It would have
one.
been the last, it would have been the last item.
Well-
So right now, let's take care of this, and then we can kind of get a game plan on how to maybe address the practical. Like,
That
so
was
we're
my
just looking
question.
at this
Okay.
one, this subsection B on item 10. So it's just these prior sunset issues and the responses and the updates that we're here right now to take a motion on, and then we'll try to figure out a game plan for the other.
Okay. Would it be like I motion to include agenda item 10B, pages 1 through 11 into the sunset report?
I would caveat it by, and well, there's, because on page 6, I mention the mandating schools to administer a practical examination. So, and Sabina, correct me if, but I would think the motion could be to approve this for submission with the exception of the item of the practical exam to be looked at separately.
Right, which is item 9 on page 6 of 11.
Okay.
I just
I
said so
motion,
moved.
oh, so moved. Thank you.
This is Member Pham. I second.
We will now open this item up to any public comments. Remember that there is a 3-minute time limit. And Fred cannot talk.
Turn tail. Fred again, not talking. I would suggest in some of the responses to, if it bleeds, it leads. There needs to be some concrete examples of consumer harm in your responses. So for example, a number of years ago, there was a staff massive infection outbreak because of foot spa services. Legislators today were not legislators then. They need to be reminded of some of the true harm and risks involved with these services. Every couple years, these new crop of legislators need that reminder. Because believe me, if you look at the trajectory of your regulatory oversight, it's getting decreased with each new legislative session. So from 1,600 hours to 1,000, from we used to have not only a written and a practical, but you would aggregate the scores and give extra point for practical competencies because this is a hands-on industry. We often don't care what's up here as much as what's happening here. And the legislature did away with that. And now they've done away with the practical altogether. So the trajectory's in a direction of people in the legislature not understanding our industry. They don't understand the risk. They don't understand how hands-on our licensed professionals are. And for example, they think BPPE can license a computer tech program and a barbering program. They don't have any technical expertise over industry, but that's how the legislature thinks. Oh, this is a school, that's a school. Apples and apples. So whatever you can do to sex up your report, really emphasize the risks and harms and bring specific examples, I think will go a long ways, because there are people in the legislature, powerful people. You guys laughed at that final issue. They want to de-license. They want to completely deregulate our industry because they don't understand there's any real harm in their minds. So you have to be, in some sense, an advocate for your mission by really emphasizing the risks that are involved with this industry. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
Good afternoon, Jamie Schrabeck, Precision Nails. I couldn't agree more. And when we talk about the practice of medicine within our industry that should not be happening, when we talk about the risks of particular substances, Christy, you were mentioning that particular chemical is actually methylene chloride, and our regulations already ban it.
Yes.
989B already bans methylene chloride because it's a paint stripper. But how many people know that already? They should have learned that in beauty school. They should understand that when they see a product that works a miracle, that that's something to question and not to just slap on somebody without knowing what the ingredients are and getting a safety data sheet. Here's something that's somewhat off topic but related. I wish that this board were required to receive notification of any settlement by an insurance company of over $25,000, because for all of the horror stories you see, I see more. I see them because I do expert witness work for private attorneys, and I will work both plaintiffs and defendants' sides. And what I see, you guys don't see. And when I ask the lawyer, has your client reported this to the state board? Nope, they have not. So you're not even seeing the worst of the worst. But if there were a requirement in statute, like there is for the medical board, that insurance companies have to report settlements over a particular amount of money, then all of a sudden you're going to get a much greater understanding of what it is that clients actually face in terms of risk, which then could be transmitted to the legislature, and hopefully they could understand it. And you could get some victims to come and talk about, hey, my foot was amputated because I got a bad pedicure. Or I had to have reconstructive surgery because of a bad waxing job. Thank you.
No more public comments? Moderator, you can please open up online.
This is the moderator for members of the public on WebEx. If you would like to make a public comment on this item, please click the raise hand icon, or if you're an audio only participant, you can raise your hand by pressing *3 on your device. All right, and it appears there are no requests for public comment at this time.
Thank you. Monica, now you can please call roll.
Tanya Fairley.
Yes.
Kelly Funk.
Yes.
Anthony Bertrand.
Yes.
Megan Ellis.
Yes.
Dr. Yolanda Jimenez.
Yes.
Paulette Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Sonar Lomale.
Yes.
Tamika Miller.
Yes.
Danielle Munoz.
Yes.
Callie Maypham.
Yes.
Steve Weeks. Motion passes.
Thank you. Okay, board is here. I hear you on both sides. We're going to take a 5-minute break and we will be back. It is now 3:15. See you back here at 3:20. All right. So we are now going to move to agenda item number 8, and I will have Christy review the proposed legislation.
Thank you, and thanks for jumping around on the agenda. This item requires one action from the board, and so I know people have flights that they want to catch, so at least everything after this on our agenda is going to be updates. So this is our legislation. AB 485 is a bill on unsatisfied judgments and non-payment of wages. This bill proposes that any state agency that issues licenses must deny new applicants or renewals if to employers found in violation of unsatisfied judgments. The board took a position of watch on May 19th. I recommend we maintain that position. Bill is continuing to move through the process. Any questions? All right, our next bill on the list is AB 504. That was our independent contractor bill for manicurists. This bill is not moving forward. We just will close that out and you will not see it again. Next bill is AB 625. This bill is not moving forward. So this is just to close that out to let you know, and you will not see that bill again. Next is D, AB 667, which is licensing examination interpreters. We took a watch position on this bill. It's basically looking at other boards. We already allow interpreters for all of our licenses unless it's provided in the language. And so this bill wouldn't be impacted to us because we already allow it. We took a watch position and I don't recommend that change. Any comments, questions? All right, we will move to E. E is AB 742, which is applicants who are descendants of slaves. We've talked about this last year as well as this year. This bill requires boards to expedite applications for applicants seeking licensure who are descendants of American slaves. We took a watch position on this bill. It's continuing to move forward. A lot of work to be done on this bill. It creates a new a whole new agency. So we took a watch position and I recommend we maintain that position. All right, moving on to F, AB 1514. This is new. This bill is the Committee on Labor and Employment is the authors of this bill. This bill is on labor, and this bill extends the sunset of the manicurist exemption. I might be saying that wrong. This bill would delete the January 1, 2025 inoperative date and instead, until January 1, 2029, reapply the ABC test exemption to licensed manicurists. So it's giving manicurists back the exemption for a limited time. It is not changing it completely, which is what we would prefer. But at least it gives more time to do more work on it while manicurists would be allowed to choose how they are employed.
Easy support.
Okay, Member Funk here. I move to support Assembly Bill 1514.
I second. Do we have any public comments on this? Come on up, Jamie.
We're voting on each individual.
I could say yay from the back. Jamie Strawbeck, Precision Nails again. We're still leaving out licensed hairstylists. The bill does not mention licensed hairstylists, which is a license type. And it's very specific, naming which licenses are allowed the exemption. And because we now have the licensed hairstylist as a type, that should be added in there too, so that licensed hairstylists have the right to do it. I know there are only 92 of them. I'm sure more are on the way, but if we're going to treat every license type equally, we really should name each of the individual license types. I know that an apprenticeship is not a license type, and apprentices are not allowed to be independent contractors, but certainly each of the license types we have now, and then if we do luckily end up with barber cosmetologists and manicurist estheticians, then those will be additional license types that should be listed in that bill for future revisions. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any more public comment? Moderator, you can open up to online comment.
This is the moderator for members of the public on WebEx. If you would like to make a comment on this item, please click the raise hand icon, or if you're an audio only participant, you can raise your hand by pressing *3 on your device. All right, and it appears there are no requests for public comment at this time.
Thank you. Turn it over now to Monica for a roll.
Tanya Fairley,
Yes.
Kelly Funk,
Yes.
Anthony Bertram,
Yes.
Megan Ellis,
Yes.
Dr. Yolanda Jimenez,
Yes.
Paulette Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Sonar Lomelli,
Yes.
Tamika Miller,
Yes.
Danielle Munoz,
Yes.
Kelly Mayfam,
Yes.
Steve Weeks.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. We will move on to the next bill, which is on page 6, SB 236. which is chemical hair relaxers. This bill does not impact us. We took a watch position on it. This bill, it prohibits any person from manufacturing, distributing, or selling or offering for sale in the state a hair relaxer product as defined that contains any specified list of intentionally added ingredients for which the Department of Toxic Substance Control has identified as accepting testing methods it's as specified. So basically, it's a manufacturer bill for certain chemical requirements in hair relaxers. Not something that we would enforce, but something that we wanted to just, we are watching because it would impact our licensees. Next is Senate Bill 470, which is our Bagley Keene Open Meeting Act of teleconferencing. This bill proposes to amend the January 1, 2026 repeal date to January 1, 2030 regarding alternative teleconferencing. That is regarding how we do our committee meetings. I know this board has chosen to meet in person for our board meetings, but our committee meetings we can do online as long as staff are in a single location where the public can attend. And so this would, and we believe this is a great idea. It works very great and works great for other boards as well. And this would extend that date. We took a support position on that in May 19th, and I recommend we maintain that. Questions, concerns? All right, our next bill is SB 641, which is emergency waivers and exemptions. This was a bill that was developed somewhat in response to the fires in Los Angeles. This allows boards within DCA to waive the application of certain provisions for board licensure requirements and licensees and applicants impacted by declared federal, state, or local emergencies. So when the fires happened in LA County, we extended expiration dates. Is that right, Carrie? But that was done via the governor's executive order. So this would just allow us to do it more easily than having to go through the whole process of an executive order. And well, we took a support position on this, and I recommend we keep that. And that's it for legislation.
All right, we will go ahead and move to agenda item number 11.
Actually, I think we would go back to.
I don't have so. I have that question. We did 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
We haven't done 7.
Okay, 7.
This is the real Christie show right here, number 7. Shall I? Okay. All right. So number 7 is all of our executive management reports. We will start with our admin and operations report. We do these reports at a moment in time, so sometimes they're exactly right. Nothing's changed. Right now, we do have actually 1 vacancy in our admin unit. We mentioned earlier in our DCA update that the governor's executive order requiring staff to return to work was delayed. So all of our staff are maintaining their telework duties. We also talked a little bit earlier just about cost-cutting measures that we had discussed in the director's quarterly meeting with the board presidents. And again, it's just reminding us, we highly recommend you all use Monica for any travel. I think a lot of you already do. But making sure that we're doing the most cost-effective way of travel, like what our president mentioned, take an Uber. If we are traveling and we need a car, I know some of us have all rode together before. So sometimes when staff go down, we tend to have bigger cars because we might have boxes. So always check with us. If you need a ride somewhere, we're always welcome to do that as well. But just really paying attention to our travel, making sure we're doing the most cost-effective means of travel. Our budget is included, which is not quite a full budget of 24-25 fiscal year. Even though we're in August, we're always a little bit behind. So at our next board meeting, you will see our final 24-25 fiscal year budget. And our budget is really pretty standard and pretty solid. Right, Steve?
Yeah, I have a couple questions. All right, I have not many questions. Not really. On item number consulting and professional services, we had allocated $1.7 million and our expenditure was we're $1 million higher. Did we run into some unusual production we were doing of some sort of materials? On the operating expenses and equipment under the fiscal year end budget, like halfway down.
Since this goes all the way back almost a year, it's likely our move.
Oh.
We would have had to contract out for a lot of services. It also would be, Carrie, what else do you? Breeze wouldn't be in there.
That's just a large figure.
Yeah, it's external. So I believe it's had to do, because it goes all the way back, it's probably, we had to do the movers costs, the reconfiguration, it probably included our move.
Desk and all the other stuff.
Yeah, we built a couple offices in our suite.
And the other question is on the per diems, we allocated nothing for per diems, but we ended up doing 70,000. What was that?
That is, so it's not just per diem, it's also overtime.
Right.
Or any lump sums. So that's if somebody retired and took a lump sum out. That's if any overtime that would have been paid out. We did do a little bit of paid overtime. A lot of time we just do overtime for time, not pay, but we definitely did do some overtime. And then per diem is just our board members.
That's why it was allocated at 0, not expecting. Okay. Okay.
Any other questions on the budget?
None.
All right, moving on to page 4. This is our licensing exams and disciplinary review committee report. Currently shows that we have 1 vacancy. We have promoted Alex Gear. Is she here? Oh, there she is. I think most of you know Alex from DRC. Alex is now one of our licensing managers.
We miss her on DRC.
We'll miss her on DRC, but she's not far. I did also want to mention something that's not in this report, but just last week on August 6th, Carrie and I attended a grand reopening of at Valley State Prison, which is in Chowchilla. It's a men's facility, and they've always had a cosmetology program there, but they have just opened it to be a barber program. And if any of you are on TikTok, I would highly recommend you go to Vic Blends. In this case, you might know who he is. He's a well-known barber on TikTok. He actually worked with a lot of industry representatives to get the facility revamped, and they had their grand reopening. And so Carrie and I got to go, and it was a huge event where they cut the ribbon and let they were going to have 16 students in their program, and the barber shop basically that they did, or barber school, is phenomenal. It's beautiful. And so there's a lot on, we will send you out, there was some media there as well. So we'll send you the link so you can see the reports. But if you have TikTok, look up Vic Blends. He posted a lot of videos about the whole event, and it was just super, super inspiring. We got to talk to the students who will be getting to see this new, and they're gonna basically, their instructors are certified teachers. They have their teaching credentials. They have all their facilities set up with all their equipment. It was all donated based on Vic, who is TikTok famous, getting these companies to come together to promote and give all this information to this state facility. So it was a huge opening. It was pretty amazing. So moving on with that, we're showing you our examinations. Our emails continue to be high, but our staff in our licensing unit are amazing. As I say at every meeting, they are keeping our workload low, which keeps our emails low. But it's not easy. They work their tails off every single day. Our applications on page 5, just showing what we've done for the different fiscal years. You can see 24, 25, we had a few more applications than we did for establishments, that is, than we did on the prior years. Page 6 is our quarterly applications received. 7, we go into our exam results. And then, of course, we break it down by first-time test takers and re-exams. On page 9, we show the exam results by educational background. So we're showing the apprentice program, out of country, and then our school programs as well. School programs obviously are a little bit, quite a bit higher than the rest, and apprentice is a little low. On page 10, you can see that our first-time test takers in the apprentice program, and I want to point out cosmetology, they have a 35% overall pass rate for cosmetologists, and you can see that a large number are taking that examination in Spanish. So again, it goes back to the fact that we don't even know if they are teaching in Spanish to Spanish-speaking individuals. And then the same information for our out of country and our school programs by language. On page 14, we show the number of licenses issued for fiscal year 24-25. That's 39,857 licenses issued in our last fiscal year.
Thank you for breaking out re-exam test takers, because that's the more, to me at least, that's more critical than the other.
Right.
I mean, it really tells us where we are.
It is very interesting.
Those are good numbers to keep breaking out.
On page 15 is our licenses issued with comparison over the last 5 years. And I just wanted to point out that in 24-25, we issued 39,857 licenses. That is the highest amount in the last 5 years. And then the next page, we show our current license population, which is 659,335. Woo! We can almost say 660,000. Pages 17, 18, and 19 and 20 are our survey results, where we talk about if you're an independent contractor, and you can see by page 18 that only 23% in the industry are employees and 35% are independent contractors. Do have a high percent, 32% that stated they're not working but are maintaining their license.
But down at the bottom, it says an independent contractor operating in the establishment is at 49%.
Right.
So that's salons that the individuals didn't answer because of that percentage is low, but the salon answered with a high percentage.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, page 21 is our disciplinary review committee. We didn't have any vacancies, but now we have one. We show the number of appeals that we have pending. We have our next DRC hearing is September 8th and 9th in Burbank. We
Try on that one.
You
Oh.
too? And Steve. Next, we'll move on to our enforcement report. We have 3 vacancies in our enforcement unit. We've showed our complaints received. We are at fiscal year 24-25. We received 6,281 complaints. Page 23, we show a chart of our breakdown of the different types of complaints that we've received. You can get a feel for just the different areas. Those little squares are a little bit small over there to the right, but they tie to the pie chart. We're showing you what we have sent to the Attorney General's office. And then that bottom chart is our probation cases. We currently have 64 cases in active probation. On the next page, 24, it shows our complaint numbers. So in the complaints received, we were at 6,281 for fiscal year 24-25, and that is quite a bit higher than our last 2 fiscal years. So you can see that complaints are increasing. As well as the third chart down is the Attorney General. You can see that we've referred 128 cases over to the Attorney General's office, and that is quite a bit higher than both of our previous 2 fiscal years. Page 25, it's our disciplinary outcomes and some more probation information, our externs. Excuse me. Page 26 is our citation data and inspections and number of inspections. Page 27 talks about our mobile inspection program. That is where we have transitioned our inspectors from going from paper inspection reports to an iPad. So they are all on that now. It is fully implemented. We still have kinks we're working out, but all inspectors are working electronically in the field now. Our next page is our number of citations issued by month. And then on page 29, we get into our request for payment notices and our payment plans. Page 30 is our outreach update. So you can show we did Highlands High School back in May 2025. We did, we had a resource fair at the Mexican Consulate and Northern California Small Business Development Center, Beauty Boss. Those were both done by our special investigator, Christian Gutierrez, who happens to speak Spanish. So that works out great for him to be at the Mexican Consulate. And he does a great job in presenting that. And then on October 11th and 12th, we will be attending an event called LashCon, which we've not heard of before, but they invited us, and it's a lash expo. It's smaller, I think 1,000 people they're expecting, but they've asked us to be there and they've given us a booth for free. So Monica and Miranda, our outreach coordinators, will be attending that as well.
And that's interesting that it's LashCon in California because people will be notified that you have to be a licensed esthetician in order to.
Yes.
So that's a good thing. But I don't think they thought that process all the way through inviting BBC.
I believe we met them at the premiere show, and that's where they invited us. Next is just our list of our listservs, notifications that we've sent out. We will make sure to let you know ahead of time if you're an industry member that we're going to be sending those out so you don't get so many phone calls.
Listen.
And then our next item is an update on our social media, and we have a huge announcement. We, on August 1st, just launched a Spanish Facebook page. So we did our Vietnamese Facebook page in the past. Everything that goes on our English Facebook page now goes on a separate standalone Vietnamese page, and now we have a separate standalone Spanish page. We also have a Groom and Glow campaign going on right now. Take a look at social media if you haven't seen it. Something that the staff, Monica and Miranda, who's upstairs at our office, created to try to be a summer vibes. Normally we do safe sandal season, but we've been doing it for many years, so we wanted to change it up and do something different. So they came up with Groom and Glow, and it's tips for the summer on all things hair, skin, and nails. Last is our strategic plan update. I think this is last. The pre-apprentice training course went live on July 1, 2025. That was also something from Sunset where we had to do the pre-apprentice training. We were able to contract that out and have it developed, which is what we want to do with remedial education. So that is up and running. The mobile inspection application, our inspectors doing inspections on the iPad has been implemented. And then we are working, we do our quarterly newsletter, which is our Barber Cosmo update, and that we are about to do our 10th issue in August of 2025. That's it.
Thank you so much, Ms. Christie. All right, that was 7, right? No public comment on that, right? Nope. 10. We did 11 already. 11 and 12, yes.
Okay.
Turn it over to you, Christy. You can go ahead. 11.
Item number 11 is a review and discussion on the family support holds and on-board licenses. So this came up at our last meeting. So really on page 2, we've done a flow chart. Some of you that have been in DRC especially might hear of something like somebody might come in front of us and say, well, I had a family support hold on my license. We don't know what happened. So we wanted to give some information on exactly how this works. And basically, family support is usually child support. I believe it can be other types of monetary support that someone might owe. And if you're in the Department of Child Support Services system, it gets tagged to any regulatory licensing system. So not just us, every board under DCA has a match that happens automatically behind the scenes if you owe family support. And so what happens is our data systems check for a match. And if the match is found, if there's nothing found, then a full-term license is issued. If there is something found, and often this happens during the renewal cycle, a 150-day temporary license is issued. So if a match is found, automatically they get a limit on their license. They get 150 days, and they have to contact their local, their county Department of Child Support Services. It used to be done all by the district attorneys, but then they created the state department. They contact them and they work it out. It's not our business. We have no idea what the issue is. So they work it out, and usually they work it out, and that the Department of Child Support Services updates their system. That match goes through again, and that 150-day license now gets a full-term license. And all this information is sent to them with that license. So it's not, they don't just get a license that has 150 days on it. They get, it's very clear. It says family support, and they get information on who they need to contact to clear that up. So then they have the 30 days to address it. If the issue is resolved, the full-term license is issued. If it's not resolved, there's a suspension letter issued. So now they're basically going to say your license is going to be suspended if you do not take care of your family support situation. So they get another 30 days. So they have that additional 30 days to respond as well. So now they've gotten basically 60 days in order to address this. So if they resolve it at that point, they don't get suspended, they get a full-term license. If they do not resolve it after those two options, they then get their license suspended. And again, each time something is sent out, it's automatically generated. We don't know about it. We would only know if somebody asked us about it and we looked it up and we would see a family support flag on their system. We have a unit in DCA that we refer them to talk to, or we can refer them to their local Department of Child Support Services. So if they do not, after those 60 days, get that resolved, then that is, their license is going to be suspended and they're going to get that notice of suspension. So it's behind the scenes, and we don't really see it a lot. We have actually, Carrie's looking at me like I'm crazy. It probably happens a lot, but we refer those off because we don't get involved in the details of what caused that to happen, and we can't recommend how they get it fixed. So, but our Family Support Unit can help them, and the Department of Child Support Services can help them. Any questions?
Yes. Is this something we can discuss that's amendable, or is this, we're just being notified of this?
You mean amendable how?
Well, I mean, I like that the child support services are notified once somebody applies, just in case of tracking them, trying to find where they are located. But I personally feel that taking away their ability to make a living and pay for the child support is excessive.
Oh, this is a different law than us.
And usually they're in arrears. And haven't paid, which is why they put a hold on that particular area. So.
Yeah, and in my experience, Department of Child Support Services is super helpful in trying to get people back on track. So their goal is to get them working. Right, any questions? All right. Shall I go on to number 12? 12, I believe, is one of our last items.
Yes.
And so this is an update regarding our rulemaking proposals. We have several regulation packages in the process. We have our, let's see, we have a couple that are approved by the Office of Administrative Law. Trying to figure out which one that is. Oh, we have technical cleanup. We have our pre-apprentice training, those were both completely approved. We have our hairstyling licensing fees that the board voted on some time ago. Those are final, those are in the process for, they were actually, I believe, were just posted. Is that right, Monica? Didn't you just post those on the internet? So they're in the comment period, so they're being sent out, and there's a 45-day comment period on that. Interpreters for licensing. This is where we're making it so they can be an interpreter after 1 year as opposed to 2 years. So that is in the process. We also have, disciplinary guidelines is in the process. We don't have any items of regulations that need to be acted on by the board today. We have our license by reciprocity, which is the limit of holding on to the certifications for a certain amount of time. Those are all in process. We will likely have much more updates for you at the next board meeting because there's timeframes. Everything in regulations has a time frame, and those timeframes are all happening between this board meeting and the next board meeting. So we'll have a lot more information on that. And then board staff is still working on apprenticeship regs, remedial education program, and health and safety. And that's it.
Open this up for any public comments on agenda item number 12. Remember, there is a 3-minute time limit. No public comments? Moderator, can you please open up to online if there's any public comments?
This is the moderator for members of the public on WebEx. If you would like to make a comment on this item, please click the raise hand icon, or if you're an audio only participant, you can raise your hand by pressing *3 on your device. All right, and it appears there are no requests for public comment at this time.
Thank you. At this time, we will now open up to public comment not on items not on the agenda. Before we open up to public comment, I would like to ask individuals making comments to not discuss pending complaints, licensing applications, or any disciplinary actions that may come before the board for a decision. Such discussions are considered ex parte communications, as they could provide information to the members that is outside of the record, in violation of the Administrative Procedure Act. Such discussions could create a conflict and lead to a board decision being challenged in Superior Court. Accordingly, if any individual makes comments on a pending disciplinary matter, the individual's microphone will be muted. The board can receive comments regarding the board's processes in general, but it cannot receive comments on specific case circumstances where the decision is still pending. Board staff is available to speak with you about any pending matter. Do we have any public comments not on items not on the agenda? No? Okay. In addition,
This is the moderator.
Moderator. Yes.
All right. This is the moderator for members of the public on WebEx. If you would like to make a public comment for items not on the agenda, please click the raise hand icon. Or if you're an audio only participant, you can raise your hand by pressing *3 on your device. And it looks like I do have a request from Gracie Young. Gracie, you'll be given 3 minutes to speak and a 30-second warning. Please click the unmute me button when the prompt appears on your device.
Hi, Gracie Young here again, program sponsor for Greater East Bay Barbering and Cosmetology Apprenticeship. I just have a question. What's going to happen to the satellite programs that are operating now? Are you there?
You say we can't respond.
I'm sorry.
Hi, Gracie. We can't respond to that during public comment, but
Oh,
if you'd
okay.
like to send Addison an email, he can respond to
Okay.
you.
Okay. Thank you. No more questions.
All right. This is the moderator. It appears there are no further requests for public comment at this time.
Thank you. Our last item is if there are any specific agenda items for the next meeting. I want to say first, at our next meeting, we will be reviewing and approval our final sunset review report. So we will be here. It's going to be a long day, hungry, food, all that. Oh, we'll be in San Diego. So But just a reminder that we will have a lot to review on that day. Any members have any items that they would like to be included?
Oh, yeah, I think was confused. Where can we put in comments about the practical exam? Yeah, revisiting, or is that just a new agenda item?
Yeah, I think the staff is going to work on that and then bring something back to the next meeting.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Agenda item, and then it can be decided if it would be included or not.
Yeah. Anyone else? No. Thank you. We will open this up for public comments, and a reminder that we will take public comments on anything that has not already been discussed. I'm sorry, agenda items not on the agenda, right? Thank you. Yes. Anyone? No. Moderator, can you please open up online to any future agenda items?
This is the moderator for members of the public on WebEx. If you would like to make a comment for future agenda items, please click the raise hand icon, or if you're an audio only participant, you can raise your hand by pressing *3 on your device. All right, and it appears there are no requests for public comment at this time.
Thank you, everyone. Board members, thank you for powering through. I appreciate you. And this will conclude our meeting. There we go.